It's Monday, January 29th. I'm back at my parents' house in Pennsylvania, and this week I'm going to focus on getting this Goose Gear plate system installed in the back of the Jeep. The Goose Gear plate system, if you're not familiar, is a platform kit for the back of the Jeep. It provides an even surface and also adds some storage compartments to the negative space inside the interior of the vehicle. It should reduce the number of bins and stuff that I need to carry around, making my living space a lot more efficient. Where I left off with the Goose Gear plate system is with the varnish. I gave the top surfaces a nice 3-coat, so it feels really good. It looks good for the most part. And then I flipped them over and did the backside. Now when I did that, some of the varnish dripped through and ran to the front, just kind of making the front look a little bit rough around the edges. Like here, for instance, you can see a lot of the varnish came through, and it really kind of looks like hell. So I am not good at this. The Goose Gear plate system usually comes with a Line-X coating, but I specifically requested bare wood so I could just have this nice, natural aesthetic inside my Jeep. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is sand these top layers, anywhere that the varnish got out of hand. That way it's nice and smooth, all of the excess varnish is off, and then I only have a little bit more varnish left, so I'm going to add just a light coating over that which I've sanded. Okay, that felt counterproductive, but I think that the finish will be a lot better now. I just have to give it another coat with what varnish I have left, using a damp towel to get rid of this excess dust. Alright, that was a good umpteenth pass. Okay, while waiting for the varnish to dry, I think I'm going to run to the hardware store and see what I can find to improve these latches. The latches themselves are perfectly fine. It's the fact that my Goose Gear plate system doesn't have the Line-X coating, so some of the tolerances are off. I want to find a rubber foot for the latching bolt, and also maybe some aluminum backing plates. It's Monday afternoon and I'm off to the hardware store. I want to get the latch stuff for the Goose Gear plate system that I already mentioned, and in addition to that, last week Jen inspired me to mess around with Reflectix a little bit. So I want to see if the hardware store, Home Depot, has a roll of Reflectix. Cut it up and see if I can rig that up in my camper somehow. Oh man, I need 48 inches by 25 feet. They don't have it. Alright, I found some Reflectix. They actually had some. It wasn't on the shelf. It was in this box over here. It's Monday night. I'm in the camper and I'm giving some consideration to my Reflectix side project that Jen inspired. Basically, this is what I got at Home Depot today. It's 25 foot by 4 foot roll of Reflectix. Reflectix, from what I can tell, is just bubble wrap with aluminum foil on either side of it. So what I want to do is I want to cut this into 2 triangular shaped sheets, and in the winter when it's cold out, just run it on the inside of the fabric tent walls. So I need to cut this to size, and I need to figure out a way to get it to stay against the walls. And I think I've got that down. I got this box at Home Depot. It's a value pack of D-ring hangers. So they're small D-ring hangers, and I can put them on these existing bolts that are both on the ceiling and along the perimeter of the camper. And using these, I can run a long paracord, kind of weave it in and out like a shoelace, and then slide the Reflectix, once it's cut, in between the paracord and the tent wall. I think it'll work really well. One consideration is I don't think these are stainless steel, so knowing the condensation buildup that I usually have, they might be prone to rusting. But it's something that I'm excited to try out. I have my hands full with the Goose Gear plate system, so I'm hoping I can get both done this week, but we'll see. Alright, see, so I installed this D-ring loop right here that's used for hanging pictures, I guess. And then I run paracord, kind of like shoelaces, up and down the side of the camper wall. Now there is an insulation kit that is available for the Ursa Minor J30 that I hope to get my hands on. I'm just impatient, and I'm too excited to try this Reflectix thing. Alright, all the ceiling loops are in. Now I have to work on the base loops. I'll run the paracord from this one down to this one, following the window line. Okay, so the point of this webbing is solely to just hold the insulation against the walls. I think this is going to work really well. It's Tuesday morning in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. I'm still going to spend the day working on the Goose Gear system. Woke up this morning to a little bit of snow. Getting kind of used to it now, but it's beautiful, so. I put these green boots on the latch bolts to just kind of give it some padding. I don't know if it'll help, but I'm going to try to apply some heat to this green rubber boot just to make sure it contours to the bolt head a little bit better. So, green boot, the latch is installed in the plate. Has a lip right here, and the hatch can go installed in any direction. Oops, sorry, that was loud. And I can adjust the length of this to kind of tweak that fit a little bit. This is the 60% rear seat delete bracket. It allows me to remove the 60 section, a back seat, and leave the 40. Similar to the configuration I have now, but this enables me to remove the seat completely, and then I can use that space for storage. This needs a coat of paint. It's bright and early Wednesday morning. I didn't have the most productive Tuesday. I did a lot of wheel spinning. I worked on the latches for the plate system and tried to make some improvements, and they didn't pan out, so I wasted some time on that. But the weather is in my favor today, so I am going to make a big push to be outside to tear apart the Jeep and start getting these plates in. I still have to deal with the electric sockets. The electric sockets have to be positioned. I need to cut holes for them and install them, but I need to know exactly where they're going to go, so I need to get it pretty much installed loosely before I decide that. Just giving one final coat to the seat delete bracket. Okay. So this morning I'm going to take it to a car wash and vacuum the carpet out. I don't want to install the plate system over any dirt if I can help it. There's going to be some dirt. It's not going to be perfect, but I at least want it to be good. Okay, today is my window to get this done, so let's see what I have to do. So first I need to tear things apart. This panel needs to come off, the subwoofer needs to come out, so I'm not going to be able to jam quite as much. That's okay. This panel, this seat belt, since I'm removing that seat section, and then that seat section needs to come out. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think this would be easier. Okay. Seatbelt was extraordinarily difficult to remove. I didn't think my Craftsman ratchet was up to it, but I put a pipe on the end of it for leverage and got the job done. I have a rusty metal pipe that says fire extinguisher on it, or it used to. That did it. Okay, okay. There we go. It's out of the way. Oh, this is a ton of fun. Oh. This is the rear seat delete bracket, all painted. And all this bracket really does is gives a mounting point for this seat, the 40% rear seat, and it reduces the bracketry because there's bracketry here normally from the factory for both seats. So this just basically minimizes it. Alright, I think I have a hiccup. I was never sent any hardware with my seat delete bracket. The nuts that came off do not fit. So it's not a showstopper. I can still install it, get the job done, but this is not going to be a safe seat to ride in until I can firmly attach the bracket and the seat belt. Awesome. This piece is going to have to come off because this is the panel that I'm going to install the electric sockets in. But I still need to install it fully to figure out exactly where they're going to go. I have some of the Ursa Minor carpet is in the way. Might have to cut some of that off. Actually, I might just give it a slice right here because that's where a tab sticks out, one of the brackets. This little bracket goes onto the side of the tub, and that's basically what supports the shelf and pulls it against the side. Okay. That's about it for today. It's Thursday morning, and I'm on the home stretch with installing the Goose Gear plate system. It's coming together nicely. I love the way it looks, and it's going to add tons of functionality, so I'm super stoked to get this done. I need to finish bolting down the rear plate. I need to dismantle the fender cubbies and install the electrical outlets, and then I need to install the 60% seat delete platform. So I have my work cut out for me today, but I did most of the hard stuff yesterday. I think I'm on track, so I'm gonna get after it. The rear plate bolts down in 4 points very easily. Here, 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 and it utilizes the same bolt holes that the footman loops use from the factory, so no drilling. However, my varnish went on too thick, so my holes are clogged up. I might have to drill the varnish out, but I'm just poking around with a screwdriver to see if I can avoid that. I think the screwdriver might work. That's it. The rear plate is installed. I believe these other remaining holes are for tie downs if you want them, or additional Goose Gear accessories. Now I have to position the electrical outlets. I got these nice power outlets on Amazon.com. They're marine, 12 volt on one side, USB on the other, and I got two, one assembly for each fender. So basically, I'm going to install them right here vertically. That way they're protected by this little protrusion, and they're nice and out of the way, and the seat won't interfere with them when I push it forward and backward. I think it's a perfect spot for them. In the Jeep, I eyeballed the holes, but here on the bench, I'm going to just make sure that the outlets are parallel with the vertical edge of the plate. Well, there it is. I screwed on the bezels. And I filed down these screws on the back side. They were sticking out a good bit. All that's left is to throw together a wiring harness, and then I can go back into the Jeep and get this done. I like to use a bike tire tube as sort of a protective conduit, because these wires are going to protrude into the side cubbies, so I just want to make it so that they're somewhat protected from the stuff that I might be storing in the cubby. Good to go. Now I just have to go back out and reassemble the Jeep. Okay, I have to reinstall this plate. It's going to be tricky because I have to feed this this slide nut into the aluminum extrusion, and it just slides out the bottom because gravity, is not in my favor. But I have this pen magnet that fits into the extrusion perfectly. So I think I can position this slide nut with the pen magnet. Haha, ha, got it. All right, I'm gonna do the other side, and then I'm gonna start buttoning everything up. And I cut far more wire than I needed, but that's okay. I'd rather have too much than too little. Before I put the 60 section in, I have to better conceal these wires. Hey Justin, it's Chris. Hey, I'm good. How do I install the 60 section? The 60 platform that replaces the rear seat. I see how it connects to the main plate. That's no problem. But does it bolt to the floor in any way? Okay, I see that I have the aluminum piece, but the only holes that are in it are for the seat holes. There's no other holes in the aluminum piece. Okay, that's easy enough. All right. Thanks, oh man. Thank you. Bye-bye. I have to drill a couple more holes in this piece of aluminum. Huh. Well, that's what it's going to look like. I have some alignment issues I have to figure out with that aluminum plate that I just bolted on. It's around 7 p.m. on Thursday evening. I'm on the home stretch, I think. It took a little bit longer than I thought it would to get the wiring in and the 60% section, which is a really snug fit. I had to drill 3 holes in this bracket to put it into the floor. But this is ready, and I'm gonna get cracking, wrap this up. This surface right here actually has to flex in order to get it to fit past the edge of the main platform, but it's a very minuscule amount. And here we have the mostly finished project. I say mostly finished because I ran the wires, but I didn't put them into the fuse block yet, so the power outlets don't work. Goose Gear plate system with the 60 seat delete. In bare wood. Well, bare wood meaning not Linexed. Got the varnish on. Numerous layers. It's Thursday night, and that's a wrap for this week. I'm thrilled with how the Goose Gear plate system came out. It added a ton of functionality and storage space to the Jeep. Much needed. The varnish job, while I love the natural appearance, I think I varnish at, I don't know, what's probably a 3rd grade level, because the edges are rough and there's drips all over the place. And in all honesty, I probably did Goose Gear a disservice by adding my own personal touch. But I still have to run the wiring into the fuse block so that the electric sockets are hot. I need to get the nuts to retain this 40% rear seat section in, and the nuts, the fasteners. And that's pretty much it. Little tweaks and fine-tuning over time, but it's fantastic. Alright, there's a lot of cleanup, so I'm gonna get going. But thank you guys for following along, and as always, I hope you enjoy the journey so far.